Hello and welcome to my studio. It's Lois from Lois and Morgana Davidson Art here. I hope you're all doing well and settling into the new year. January is always a bit of a long month, but if we can find the time to paint or draw or do anything creative, it can be a real respite against the sort of cold weather and the sort of lack of light that we have in January, sort of looking forward to the coming of spring. Today I'd like to share with you a few thoughts for this quick watercolour tip number 8. And while I share it, I'm going to be running a few of Morgana and my paintings as a slideshow just in the background while I chat. And today's quick watercolour tip number 8 is going to be, I think, something that's really important, especially for beginners to understand, and that is to understand the difference between something being easy and something being simple. If you're interested in more watercolour tips, some of them technical and some of them more kind of advice like this, then please take a look at the playlist that's here on our channel, quick watercolour tips, and you'll find a lot more. And this is a series that I'm building on with a couple of videos every month if possible, just to sort of build up into a useful resource for beginners, intermediates, or anybody sort of coming to watercolour from maybe another medium or something like that. So anyway, back to tip number 8. Now, I think this is one of the most important concepts about watercolour painting and indeed about any kind of artistic or creative activity. And that is understanding the difference between the term easy or the term simple. Watercolour lessons are often described as either of those, and I'm here to argue today that it's actually wrong to describe watercolour painting tutorials generally as easy. I would say it's a better definition to describe them possibly as simple, and the reason for this is down to the definition of the words. The Oxford Dictionary defines the word easy as something achieved without great effort, presenting few difficulties, whereas the definition of simple is plain, basic or uncomplicated in form, nature or design. So those two definitions are quite different, even though at first thought those two words seem quite similar. Now, I'd like to say that I think it's a bit of a mistake to describe watercolour painting tutorials as easy, because they're not. Easy is something that could be done without much effort. Watercolour painting, as most of us know, takes an awful lot of effort, practice, trial and error. There's an awful lot to think about when we're trying to learn the art of watercolour painting, and it's not easy. Some people might find it a little bit easier to pick it up over the years than others, but it is something that definitely requires quite a lot of effort and persistence, and of course making lots and lots of mistakes in order to work through them excuse me, and to learn and master the techniques that we need to be able to use when painting in watercolour. I would argue that loose watercolour landscape painting is better described as simple. By that, it means that it's not highly detailed, hyper-realistic a style of art. Shapes and forms and subject matter are sort of really simplified. So that's where the word simple comes in, is that we're simplifying our compositions. We're simplifying the scenes that we see in front of us and trying to simplify the way that we describe them in paint on the paper. So this is probably one of the most important tips that I can give to beginners, is that watercolour painting isn't easy, but what we're trying to do is to simplify things, to make things simple so that we're not painting really complex, highly detailed landscape paintings or florals or bird paintings or whatever scenes we try to show you here on Lois and Morgana Davidson Art. I think it's sort of clickbaity thing to use the word easy in the title of a tutorial. But don't be misled. Most artistic activities or creative activities, arts or crafts, are going to require quite a bit of effort, quite a lot of thought, quite a lot of practice and trial and error, and all that good fun stuff that comes as part and parcel of trying to learn new skills. If things were easy, then people would be less interested in them. We like a challenge, and I think that's what things are. It can often be more challenging to produce something, to produce a painting that's really simple, stripping away all the unnecessary detail. And that's what we try to do here, is try to show you how to learn to paint simply, and not about how easy it is. In fact, we often try to stress these days how don't worry if you sort of fail or make mistakes with certain techniques. It's worth persevering with them. And of course, embracing the challenge of learning how to simplify your artwork, how to simplify your sketching, your drawing, and things like that. And I'm sure that I've used the word easy in some of my titles of demos here in the past. And most of the time that's been because easy has less letters in it than the word simple. And it's just a matter of trying to cram in all the words to describe the demo into a title that has a limited number of characters that you can use. But now I'm aware of that definition, I try not to use the word easy anymore. Because I think it's misleading, as I've said before, and that's the biggest tip that I can give to you, is not to imagine that watercolour painting can be an easy thing to pick up. It requires effort, but that effort and that learning can be so much fun and can be so rewarding, so that eventually the more you practice through trial and error, you will sort of begin to learn how to simplify things, how to keep your loose painting simple, which parts of your painting requires a little bit more detail, which parts need to be left completely simple and almost empty, allowing the painting to breathe. Well, I hope you've found this tip helpful. Let me know what you think in the comments and your ideas about the difference in the definition of the words easy and simple. I firmly believe that if watercolour painting was easy, we probably wouldn't be interested in it. But because it's simple, uncluttered, and uncomplicated in its form and its design, it's that refinement, that simplicity that works so well and can be quite hard to achieve, but it's well worth making the effort to learn how to strip back to the basics in order to paint beautiful, simple watercolours. Well, I hope you found that tip useful. Don't forget to check out the playlist. Most of my tips are more practical in nature. But here today, I just think I wanted you to really be able to see that watercolour painting isn't easy, but it can be simple. Well, many thanks for watching. Please leave us a like and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. And thank you so much to everybody that supports this channel on Patreon. I'll see you again soon and have a wonderful weekend.